Hi, I'm Mary Lycett Harrison, clinical herbalist, teacher, author, wild guide, creator of Thrive Tonic, and professional member of the American Herbalists Guild. People often ask me why I became an herbalist. I became an herbalist out of necessity, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this story. When my young son was very, very teeny, he had horrible asthma and allergies. He was always sick. We were always going off to our wonderful pediatrician to have him treated. And my son was always on antibiotics. He was missing preschool. He was never well. He had dark circles under his eyes. He had very fair skin. He had poor digestion, very poor appetite. He was very stressed out, and he was not sleeping well. And he just, even with all the treatments and the doctor's best efforts, my son was never well. And when my son was 4, the doctor said, "Mary, we've done everything we can do, and it's time to put him on steroids." And for me, that was the moment when all I could imagine was that for the rest of my life, my son, as he grew up, would always be visiting a pharmacy and taking things just to patch up his health rather than help him to gain back his good health and vitality. So that was the moment when I went searching as a mom to try to find something else for my son to help build his health. Well, one thing led to another, and I fell into the world of herbs, and I just became passionate about it. And I studied absolutely everything I could possibly find. I thought I could teach myself by buying all the herb books at the used herb books at the bookstore, and many of you may relate to that also. I couldn't do it. A feverfew flower looks like a chamomile flower. I went to herb school at the Southwest School of Botanical Medicine and was taught by Master Herbalist Michael Moore. He was the only teacher I ever wanted to have. He taught about the wild herbs, as well as the herbs of commerce that you would find in the health food store. So I use a lot of wild herbs in my pharmacy. There's a wild herb called fireweed in my wonderful Thrive Tonic product here that I hope you all are trying and enjoying and using every day. I studied ethnobotany. I went to Purdue and studied the science of essential oils, and behind me you see my herbal pharmacy. People come and consult with me for their health concerns. And I developed my Thrive Tonic for my clients in my herbal practice. I've been in herbal practice for 17 years now. And one thing I have to say is that the herbs taught me. To finish up the story of my son and why I love what I do, is that once I understood how to use herbs safely and appropriately, and I started applying them to my son's health, what I found was that herbs used in a restorative way, that is, I used herbs to help nourish my son. I used herbs to help soothe my son's throat, like marshmallow and slippery elm, before his throat got raw and irritated and inflammation set in. I used licorice to help moisten his membranes, to help keep his throat moist so that it wouldn't be so irritated. Herbs like garlic to keep his lungs healthy. There were a lot of herbs that I used, not super strong acting herbs, but used over time. The herbs helped to bring my son back to full health. His eczema went away, the color in his cheeks was restored, his energy was restored, and by doing that, his little body was able to maintain his health, keep himself healthy, whereas before, he wasn't able to stay well. He just wasn't healthy enough to keep himself well. And herbs did that for him, and that was the main lesson I learned. And I have applied that lesson in my herbal practice. And that is what my Thrive Tonic is about. You do this every day for yourself, and it helps you to maintain wellness. I love being an herbalist. I say that being an herbalist makes me feel more at home in my world, because everywhere I look, I see plants that help us. And I love to help you with these plants. So thank you for listening. I hope that you will try my Thrive Tonic. It's online at thrivetonic.com. I teach classes. There are many more articles at millcreekherbs.com that I've written to help you use herbs safely and appropriately in diet and healthcare. Thank you. Mary Lycett Harrison,